Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Nanette Ho-Covington. I am a volunteer for the Clean Resource Innovation Network as the digital oil and gas theme lead and a whole bunch of other things there. And very happy that I've been invited and included to be part of the delegation here at COP28. But by day, I actually work for Spartan Controls and lead sustainability there and also support Avatar innovations on a seconded basis. So today we're going to have a fun topic about batteries and critical minerals. And so I wanted to share a couple contextual things before we start and introduce the panel. So a few weeks ago, or just shortly before coming to Dubai, I think, Mark, you were there too, invited to join the EFL showcase for the day. And Toby Heaps from Corporate Knights was shared a few tidbits of information I want to share to provide context for today. So he shared that by 2026, the electrical vehicle is expected to quadruple, reaching $1 trillion, $1 trillion US, and the corresponding market for lithium ion batteries expected to exceed 100 billion by 2030. While Canada has no domestic OEM for passenger vehicles, it has attracted nearly $6 billion to bolster EV capacity by Ford Motor and Stellantis and General Motors. There are significant export opportunities with Canadian-owned firms in the off-road, school buses, municipal vehicles, and forklift subsectors, leveraging the proximity of the U.S. market. The combination of readily available minerals, a strong industrial automotive supply chain ecosystem, and low carbon grid and supportive government policies provide competitive advantage for Canadian companies along the battery supply chain to offer the world leading solutions. So very happy to introduce our group here today. But before I do that, more additional things I want to share. Canada has spent some time, and same with the province of Alberta, studying the critical minerals and the battery metals that we need in order to support a shortage identified by 2025. And so there is a roadmap published by the Battery Metals Association of Canada, and it was put together by the Transition Accelerator, BMAC, Accelerate, and Energy Futures Lab. And they came up with 4 key recommendations. I'll let you go look it up on the internet to find out what those recommendations are. But let's explore this shortage and what we need to do. So on my right, I'd like to introduce, I've now fondly called him Chuck, Chamurai, Charles. Tell us, Charles, a little bit about how you picked Charles as a name.
Charles, like Prince Charles.
Yes.
But certainly Chamurai is my preferred name because it's true to who I am, very persistent.
Okay. And I won't try and pronounce your last name.
Nebeze.
Nebeze. There we go. Well, welcome, Charles. Justin. So I did some profile creeping. But so you've been a longtime supporter of the innovation and entrepreneurship program, and so over 15 years in that space. Care to tell us what excites you about being in that space?
Sure. It's actually longer than that. But so that's
So
an old bio. So, but I don't want to give away how old I am. So I've had the good fortune of being in Alberta's innovation ecosystem in one role or another for close to 25 years. And what's been great about that is working with entrepreneurs and innovators at all stages of their career, trying to make something new work. And in our province, there is such support, an environment and a culture and system of supports available to help entrepreneurs get from here to there. And so helping those entrepreneurs be successful and supporting them on their journey to bring new products, new services to market has been a passion of mine since the early days of my career. And I'm very fortunate in the role I'm in now to do that in more impactful way.
Oh, perfect. And then Laura, my fun fact for you is not related to innovation, because I know you've got a long-standing history in innovation and hailed from Austin, Texas before joining us here in Alberta. But a fun fact is Laura and I were at a fundraiser event for the Highlanders, and unfortunately was not able to dance because you had a broken foot.
Yes. Unfortunately, my welcome to Alberta was me slipping on ice and actually cracking my ankle and having to wear a boot for the first time ever. But as people noted, it never stopped me. It was, I actually walked on it for 10 days before I said, this thing isn't getting better. I better go to a
Oh
doctor.
my, that's
But, you know, I think that goes to when you've got something in mind and you're persistent, you're going to get things done. But when you do it with others, you do it so much better. And that's what I think is important. But thank you for that observation.
And speaking of getting things done, so Gada and I have known each other for a bit of time. And so this year, we're going to mark, or 2024 will mark our 3rd year of working together for David Holub Clean Tech competition. So it's a student competition hosted at the University of Calgary between engineering and law. Wow, lawyers and engineers getting along. So they've been great. They've been full day sessions where students get together and ideate around clean tech and transition solutions. Right, Gada?
Yes, it's actually been really wonderful to see all the ideas these students come up with. It's a very short time. Maybe they have 2 tops 3 hours, and bam, inspiring great solutions to some of our clean tech challenges. So it's very rewarding. It's very comforting. It makes me feel like we're going to have a good future. We're going to be okay.
Perfect. Well, let's leave you with the mic, Gada, and just tell us a little bit more why we're here today and what Litus is all about.
Yes. Okay. So, Litus is a company that works on lithium extraction and other battery metals. It was developed by a team of deep technical expertise. We specialize in coming up with breakthrough nanotechnology solutions to make energy more accessible, more efficient, cleaner. And for that vision, we've been really working very hard, scaling up the technology that we've developed. We've actually scaled up twice to date and are really excited of how that development is coming through. And we're really also looking forward and excited about a niche market that we found ourselves in. It's a very strategic niche where our technology is very effective and efficient in extracting lithium from low concentration sources. Simply, there's no technology that can do that today. And that's unlocking quite a large untapped resource and makes using or developing a value chain of lithium in North America and Europe. So as you may know, in Alberta, we have a very rich geological formation, and we're really excited about monetizing the resources that we have and developing a technology. And that's why we're here today, to talk about lithium and everything that we're doing in that space.
Fantastic. Laura, we'll just pass the mic down this way. So tell us more about why Alberta Innovates is here and what interests you about lithium.
Well, it's quite simple. When you think of it on the surface, we sometimes make these things more complicated. But I think about the potential of what we have in Alberta to help the rest of the world as well as ourselves. And if we actually start looking at what we have some world-class mineral capabilities within the province, not least of which is lithium. And sometimes this is coming out the brine of our oil sands. But we have other precious metals like vanadium and other things that as battery technology develops, these other minerals will be equally critical at different stages. Second, we have a phenomenal skilled workforce, thanks to folks like yourself and others coming out of our universities. We have this enormously skilled workforce, which is in a short supply around the world. I think third thing is we have a highly innovative ecosystem. And I think one of the things about our ecosystem that perhaps differentiates us from others is we don't work on our own. We work in partnership. And I have to say, ERA and Alberta Innovates works strongly together, as does other groups like Charles's group. But we work together to get to an end solution so that we can take some innovation from TRL level 1 or pre-1, like zero, I have a thought, all the way through into full commercialization. And that's a hard thing. People normally look at one little step in the process. We're looking at the whole journey. And I think in Alberta, that makes a difference. Finally, while I am not from the government, I'm from Alberta Innovates, we do have policies and incentives and mechanisms that we can help that technology be developed through our subsidiaries like Innotech Alberta and CIFA Technologies, and groups like CRIN who help bring us together so that we can do better as a group. So that's just some of the reasons.
Perfect. Justin, tell us more about your work at ERA and
Sure. Thank you, Nanette, and everything Laura said and more. So we are a fortunate player in the innovation ecosystem, helping to fund late-stage technology demonstration in clean tech. We all know that critical minerals and their future expansion from an array of different locations is going to be critical to reaching our net zero aspirations. With the electrification of different vehicle fleets and other end uses, it's going to be more important than ever that we find other sources of extraction, of productive and cost-effective extraction of sources. So we think the investments in critical minerals within Alberta in terms of technology that's going to extract it effectively and efficiently is a very strategic initiative to be investing in. And we're very proud to be supporting Litus in their development right now. We were drawn to their technology because it's novel, unique. There's a variety of different lithium extraction technologies out there, and we've supported some others in the past. We need a portfolio of approaches, and we need new ways of thinking about doing things. And your end-to-end spectrum of how you're approaching this is novel and unique for us with nanotechnology and other unique features that we're just proud to be supportive of, and providing some of that enabling funding to get you from here to there. We're very excited about the potential in Alberta. In Alberta, we're very comfortable extracting oil and gas. We've been doing it for decades. We're very good at it, and we've built lots of expertise. We haven't had a lot of expertise on the mineral extraction side in Alberta. There's been lots of attempts at things like vanadium and zirconium, titanium out of the oil sands, and so forth. It's a big challenge, and it's a big role to try and tackle with big industrial firms a new way and a new novel approach to doing things. So we're happy to provide some critical funding support to help make the business case that much stronger, and looking forward to helping Litus and a variety of other critical mineral extraction developers into the future.
I love the exploration of the periodic table. So, Charles, tell us who mica is and why mica is important in this whole ecosystem.
Thank you. Yeah. So look, Canada has a lot of secrets, and honestly, Alberta has its share of secrets that we're starting to discover that they have, like Litus, for example, and the work that Laura is doing and the work that Justin is doing. Because of all these secrets, these assets that Canada has, we recognize that if the mining industry in Canada is going to improve, it needs to tap into the assets from across the country. So the Mining Innovation Commercialization Accelerator, which is funded by the government of Canada, is a network which is trying to harness the power of innovation coming across this entire country and channel it towards the mining industry. I think Justin mentioned the oil and gas industry, where Alberta has got such prowess in that area. What we are recognizing is that we can learn from the oil and gas industry because they're further ahead in so many different areas. For example, how they manage data, for example. They are so much better at that. Even their financing models are way better. And so the mining industry, the traditional mining industry for minerals and metals, is starting to learn from the oil and gas industry. I met Litus at an event in Ontario put together by another organization called Mars Innovation. And just to demonstrate to you that, the Alberta story is being brought to other parts of Canada and is being picked up by those other parts in Canada. The same thing is true with what's happening on the East Coast. There are technologies coming out of the East Coast that we're just not aware of. As they say, what you don't know, you don't know. So with the MICA network, we're trying to flush out these different technologies from across Canada and then support them. But more importantly, it's what the Made in Canada advantage has for the rest of the world that is even more critical. And with the MICA network, we're actually poised to bring Made in Canada technologies to the global stage so that it can get recognized. And maybe I'll leave it at that for now, and then we can talk more.
Well, let's just continue talking.
Okay,
Shall we do that?
let's do that.
So that leads us into the next question, right? So you've mentioned about global opportunities
Yeah.
for Litus and other startups in that space, right? So what do we need to do? How do we get our story out there better? How do we, well, it's now become a four-part question. What do we need to do next? What are the next steps we need to take? And then how do we get it to adoption and implementation? So
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say to me, look, the most important thing is demonstrate the technology, demonstrate it to a level where people can build the confidence to try it out. Canada internationally has a reputation of a very careful country. We're very cautious as Canadians. And so when we actually bring our technologies to the global stage, we get that level of uptake that I think is important. So that demonstration piece is so important and critical and necessary. And I think the developing nations are actually looking to Canada as an example of what technologies are actually adoptable, that are sustainable, that are responsibly created, whereas, in other nations, you may have IP infringement issues happening. With Canada, the way we do business is admired by the world. Even the way that Canada sets these aggressive targets for climate, this is part of the whole idea of Canada taking a leadership role so that when we go onto the world with our technologies, they get that higher level of attention from the world. But we are definitely funding that late stage development of projects to demonstration, piloting it so that it can be observed by the world. Another thing I want to just add is that follow-on funding, scale up is another area where Canada is actually looking to get better. We can scale up our SMEs so that they can become stronger companies as they move forward.
do you have anything to add, Justin?
Sure. I'm going to draw a parallel with geothermal. So we have a company in Alberta called Ever Geothermal that maybe less than 5 years ago was just a bunch of geologists in a basement in Calgary trying to figure out how to make this new technology they had a great idea about get into a scale up and commercialization mode. And through a lot of hard work, a lot of things that they had to do on the regulatory and policies wise, as well as convincing financiers, we were pleased to provide them with some funding to do a commercial loop in Rocky Mountain House. Innovates, I believe, provided some funding into them as well at earlier stages. And it was through that actual demonstration that you could prove to industry, to the financiers and others that this works and it can be done. And as a consequence, they're now having global sales in Germany and Texas and expanding like crazy. It's just an evidence of a technology that's born and bred within the province, that's had a whole level of ecosystem support to get it, a village, to get it from here to there, and it's bred commercial success. We need to do the same thing in critical minerals. We need to be able to wrap ourselves around these great technologies and provide them with the supports they need so they can commercially demonstrate their efficiency, their effectiveness, and nothing breeds success like success. So if we can get some of these commercialization projects off the ground and demonstrate them in real world applications, I'm confident we're gonna grow the industry and see much more development and scale up into the future.
Thank you.
If I add to that, we're doing two very simple things. It's not simple to do, but we're accomplishing two things. Number one, we're increasing the supply of what is in a shortage of great need, but a shortage of supply in areas like critical minerals, namely lithium, as we look at the batteries today, to enhance our ability to have cleaner and better technologies in this space. But the second thing we're doing is we're setting a standard for responsible and sustainable production of these minerals. So I think when we look at that as a partner for our innovation and our innovators of what we can do, not just here in Canada, but share innovation in the future for growth for other parts of the world, we really are an important player. And I think in the global environment today, no one geography, no one country, no one area should be solely the provider, as we've learned during, sadly, COVID. We all have to step up and do what we need to do. So let's just show the world what we can do here in Canada and contribute to their success too.
Yeah, perfect. So Gada, let's show the world. What are we going to do? And so what made you choose Alberta as the place to develop your technology?
Oh, that's an excellent question, and thank you. Well, Alberta has always consistently been an energy leader. It's part of our culture. It's part of our DNA. Alberta is very focused on energy, as we have very rich workforce, all the way from the boots on the ground to the executives in offices making very strategic decisions. And having all of these rich resources that I talked about allows us to test new technologies. We have the resources right there available. And the political climate is very supportive of bringing those technologies forward and helping us grow, build, and have a true impact in the world. So I would say that everything that we have in Alberta gives us a very unique opportunity that we're really trying to take advantage of and make a difference.
Thank you very much, Gada. So I'd like to take this a bit further. Why should we pursue lithium in Alberta and in Canada? What makes this unique compared to other world areas?
So the automotive industry has set forward really very aggressive goals. We've heard a lot of companies go out and say we're going to go all electric by 2025 or 2030, and that pushed the increase that Nanette introduced at the beginning, a 500% increase in the demand of lithium. And there's not enough lithium that's being supplied today, not because it doesn't exist, but because there are no technologies in places where it's extracted. In Alberta, we have that lithium. We're able to make a difference. If we capitalize on it, if we implement those technologies, extract the lithium, we're helping provide that supply and supporting the global energy transition that we're all seeing today.
Yeah, perfect. So what about the supply chain side? So Charles and I talked about this earlier about what happens now. So we've collected all this lithium. We've got 2 plants being built in Canada, or is it 3 now? I can't remember. 1 on the West Coast, 2 on the East. And if the main place to extract all this stuff is in Alberta, is building those battery plants in those locations the right place?
Yeah.
Is this a
look,
political hotbed question?
You know what? I'll answer the question this way. Look, it's not just about lithium, right? Take cobalt, take nickel, take copper, and take even aluminum, right? Any metal that you comes to your mind, and ask yourself the question is, where is the value added happening for that particular metal? And I think we as Canadians need to get smarter at making sure that we are actually creating the products that we ourselves are using ourselves. We're creating them on the ground here in Canada. Look, if you all look at your phones right now, right? Where did the battery on your phone come from exactly? Who made it? How did it get to you? What is the carbon footprint to get you that battery, that lithium that may be in your phone? Where did that come from exactly? And how did it get to you? And do you care, right? Same story can be said about gold and diamonds, right? You have diamonds on your fingers and gold. Where did it come from? Do you care? I care, right? I care where the lithium came from that's in my phone. And I would like to know that this battery in my phone was made in Alberta, right? So I think Alberta needs to create a battery end to end, right? So does Ontario, so does everything else, because it's a needed resource. It's like furniture, right? It's like clothing. Clothes should be made near you, somewhere near you. Food should be grown near you. Our batteries should also be made near us.
Can I just add to that?
Oh yeah, go down the line.
That's a great start. So this is a challenge in just about every major commodity extraction to refined process to end use, the full value chain of products as well as supply chains. And I think what's really important is the globe is starting to scale up on critical mineral development, extraction, refinement, processing. And we need to have a national conversation as a country to make sure we're putting the assets in the right locations to provide the most efficient processing possible so that the economics are strong for critical mineral development in Canada and with our partners in the US and so forth. And I think, it's going to require a lot of collaboration. We don't need to have every single supply chain component necessarily within Alberta. That might not be the most efficient process possible. What we need to do is make sure we're competitively extracting, refining, and developing these minerals with our global competitors as a country. And so I think that that's going to be a really important strategic conversation. The time to have those conversations is now, because we're just in process of putting in the infrastructure in different places. And we're using new technologies. So the old method and approach may not hold true, and the old economic model may not hold true. And we're going to need to get a little more sophisticated in terms of our value chain and strategic supply chain approaches for critical minerals into the future.
You know, from Alberta Innovate's perspective, we're looking at the early stages of what needs to happen. So number one, we need a multitude of technologies for not just different minerals, but even the same mineral. Because as things evolve, we're going to keep, those companies are going to evolve and develop new technologies. So let's make sure we have the portfolio of innovation, number one. Secondly, the next stage, as far as we're concerned, is we need resiliency in our supply chain. So wherever that end product is produced, the resiliency here in the supply chain to get to that end product is key. And I think third, in Canada, let's get behind our areas that I consider centers of excellence. We don't all have to do the same thing, but what we should do is each have our own area of excellence that we supply into the process. So I think here, not only increasing the supply of critical minerals, having it available for our supply chain and knowing that they will be resilient will be absolutely key.
Well, so how do we make it resilient? What is Litus going to do?
Well, I'm going to do a lot, I hope. Well, we've been developing in actually a really interesting way where we started with lithium extraction. Our long-term vision is to go all the way to a battery grade lithium product. But again, comes the question of where that's going to go. So very relevant to what everything is saying. And hopefully we see that getting developed. But we also got really interested in looking at what else is in the water. Like Laura mentioned earlier, yes, there is lithium, which has a hype at school today. Everyone excited about it because of the electric vehicle batteries. But we have way more than that. When we get those samples of water and we analyze them, we see tons of rich components in that water that we can capitalize on, ones that are extracted elsewhere in the world from very low concentration sources, and we have quite high of them, and they're very valuable, maybe even more than lithium. So we're excited as a team to expand and grow not just our lithium extraction, but across a lot of other different components to make them available. We believe that if we're already pumping the water, if it's already going through a process, why only extract lithium? Let's do a little bit more that doesn't add too much to the capital, to the operations, and have more than one product in these processes. And that's actively what we've been doing with our customers, pushing towards that, and also working in the earlier part of the value chain through the extraction, so that we also have a good lithium product that is more valuable than what's offered in terms of the components we remove. And a quick example of that is if we produce a lithium stream that has manganese, for example, well, it has potential issues. You go to commercial operations, and once it gets into the battery, it's going to plate the anode. So we were ahead of the game. We said, you know what, we're going to remove manganese. We're going to do that because we want our lithium product to get there, ready to get into a battery and actually be very effective. So these are all things that we've been thinking about. We've been thinking about scale up. We've been thinking about solving the commercial challenges other players or other groups may be facing or seeing. We understand how it's like. We're really lucky to have on our team people who've gone from lab to commercial applications. That expertise is proving to be very valuable to us because we know what industrial applications look like. We know what some of the challenges are, and trying to get ahead of them by solving them early on are really, really de-risking.
Okay. So, Gada, keeping the microphone, one of the questions we talked about was what technologies are positioned to support resources globally?
Okay, well, as we all know, competition is fierce in lithium. There's a lot out there, but in my mind, there are three things that need to exist for technology to be successful, first, it has to be a solid technology. The fundamentals, the basis, the scientific findings of that technology have to be solid. The second one is it has to be able to scale. So scaling is hard. It's not easy to go from smaller scalers to scale to bigger ones. So the technology has to be able to scale. And the third is it has to have access to resources, continuous resources to do the testing. And that's where I feel there's no place better than Alberta to have those resources continuously available where we can test and improve for. And at Litus, I believe we check all three boxes. We have been working on all of them, making sure that we have the access to the resources, that we're able to scale, have already scaled and validated performance, are working with our customers very closely to ensure that our results are competitive, are effective, and most importantly, economical. Because really, we are developing a technology that in a single step, a single true DLE step, we're able to extract that lithium without the need for many processes, which makes it very economical to the low concentration sources that we would have.
I'm going to stop you because you said a 3-letter acronym. So please explain what that 3-letter acronym is.
What was that again?
DLE.
DLE, so direct lithium extraction. So that's the new way or the promise that was given to the world of technologies that are able to extract lithium from an aqueous source, so brines, very effectively, efficiently, and fast. So instead of waiting to the conventional evaporation ponds that you would pump water from the ground, let it sit for a long time to evaporate by 50%, and that's a 12 to 18 months endeavor to have to see the first lithium product. DLE technologies are able to extract lithium right from the source much quicker.
Perfect. Charles, did you want to add something to that?
Yes, I'll add to it. Not to give everybody a mining 101 lesson, but
Sometimes we need a mining 101
but
lesson.
look,
We need to, this is part of education, right? So
Exactly.
mining 101 is.
so there's a vision to open up 388 new mines by 2030, of which 70 of those new mines are going to be lithium mines, and maybe another 50, 40 are going to be copper mines, etc. But what's interesting about the mining industry today is that the abundance of these large deposits that are of a high grade is going down so much that what we're finding actually exists now is smaller deposits that are of higher grade, or even smaller deposits that are low concentration, but that are in specific areas. And what's driving all this is that the permission to open new mines is actually going to go to the mines that have less footprint. So which brings me back to the Litus technology. The fact that Litus technology is more modular means that it is easier to deploy. Traditionally in mining, to open a new mine is a dozen years, 12 years, 10 years. And building a processing plant, I mean, you're talking close to $1 billion to build a really large scale processing plant. But when you look at the technologies that are coming up now, they're leapfrogging a lot of those steps, where now we're able to actually have more lithium mines in the future, because the processing plant is not going to cost you an arm and a leg, or to cost you an arm and a leg, but it'll cost you less than an arm and a leg to actually deploy. So again, even copper, right? If you look at the new emerging copper technologies, they're scalable technologies, where you're able to open up a smaller copper mine, you're able to open up a smaller nickel mine. Gone are the days of these large mining operations. So the technologies that are coming out of Alberta, that are those modular technologies, are actually what we need more of, so that we can get more mining happening, so we can then have the minerals and metals to power the green transition.
Just to build on exactly what you said, and this is why we're investing in a portfolio of technologies, because as you look at that 70 mines and that subset of mines, each one of them will have different conditions and different ways of extracting. And because of that, Litus is a great example of a type of technology that you've developed that's doing exceedingly good. We have also in our portfolio E3 Lithium, Summit Nano, Fortune Materials, Resion. Each of them have developed different innovative ways of extracting. So we can, in Canada, actually point the best innovations to the best circumstances for that extraction. That makes it more efficient for the end extractor, that makes it more cost effective for the end user. Now, if we can do that, it's a very powerful set of innovation. And we're so very proud of Litus and what they've actually done along this journey.
Anything else to add? No? No, go ahead.
Something. I want to touch a little bit on something with supply chain, and it's a little bit off topic, but I think it's really important. At Litus, when we started to look at where we get our nanomaterial from, it was unbelievable. I'm not even going to describe that, but I will tell you that we've made the strategic decision to actually manufacture our own nanomaterials. And it's a first. It's a first in Alberta. It's a first in Canada for us to actually go all the way from the raw materials and manufactures the nanomaterials that we need for our process. And what that does is we can secure going ahead of all the supply chain challenges that we're seeing, we can secure the supply of these nanomaterials for our customers. It's there, it's available, and they can have it and access it for that lithium extraction. So it's another way that we're going, you know, after all the challenges and eliminating them by saying that supply is going to be available for companies and it's ready to make an impact in Alberta, but also in the world.
Yeah, provides for a better security of supply, yes?
Absolutely.
So, folks, one more question. Well, we just have 5 minutes left. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to provide and share with the group here the key takeaways. And then, you know, in keeping with COP28, we're united. We need to act, we need to deliver. So provide me that one piece out of one of those 3 points that we should share with the audience.
Well, first of all, a lot of hope, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. I mean, here we are all at COP in a place where we're trying to make a difference in the world, a difference in our climate. And we're so excited at Litus to be part of this and to actually play a part of that change all over the world.
In Alberta, we have an enormous amount of these materials that we are extracting sustainably from the very start. I think that's number one. Number two, we have great people who are very inventive and creative, and we call them entrepreneurs. And these are the folks that are managing to get the new technologies to extract those precious materials. And three, there is no better place to be supported by the provincial attributes that we bring, not just the natural resources, not just the quality of labor, not just the access to grants and capital, but how we work with you to help make you successful. And I think if you don't find a reason in one of those 3, I welcome you to go somewhere else. But if you like any one of those 3, let alone all 3, I even more so welcome you to Alberta, and let's find a way to work with you.
So we're all here at COP focused on getting to net zero decarbonization, and we all have an obligation to make more effective and efficient use of the world's resources. And Litus is attempting to do that very thing in novel new approaches on something and a technology that hasn't yet come to full fruition or existed to make better use of the world's resources and the resources that the world is demanding now to get us to that net zero aspiration. So being an entrepreneur is challenging, requires enormous thick skin and perseverance. So got my hats off to you. We are just proud and privileged, all as an ecosystem, to get behind these great innovations and see how we can make your journey just a little bit easier. I'm very excited about the opportunities in Alberta, as has been said very eloquently here on the stage. There is enormous opportunity, and we have a track record of getting things done in this province. And I'm just excited to get to this next wave of an industrial revolution in the critical minerals development in Alberta, that we're all having a little piece of the action in terms of making happen, but it's going to be companies like yours, Gada, that actually make it happen. So look forward to continue to work with you.
Yeah, look, I think just in the spirit of COP, Canada has a responsibility to the world, and we have always been an innovation leader in Canada. You know, we're a high labor economy, meaning that innovation is really the only way we can compete globally. But I think our obligation to the world is to bring our inventiveness, our technologies, prove them out, and then bring them to the world stage so the world can actually consume them and use them for the betterment of the planet. I think that is maybe the key thing that Canadians should do, that Albertans should do, is really, let's not hide what we have. Let's bring it onto the international platform and demonstrate it to the world.
Thank you very much, Charles. That was fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. But I wanted to offer the audience an opportunity to ask questions. Are there any questions?
Thanks, everyone. This is really good. I know the title talks about sort of strategic energy solutions. I'd like to bring it down a little bit and just sort of ask Gada from Litus, what technology readiness level is your technology at today? And could you maybe expand a little bit on how it works?
Excellent, and thank you. So we've scaled 2 times. We've gone from a lab, which is what we started at, to a bench, and from a bench to a mini pilot. And right now we're building a large pilot unit. It is portable, so it can go to the field and have a stream that shows the capability of that technology in much larger scale. We're also scaling up 2 technologies. One is the process for manufacturing the nanomaterials, and the other is for the lithium extraction. For the nanomaterials, we've gone from being able to produce or manufacture 30 grams a day to today, where we're able to produce up to 5 kilograms a day. And we've scaled up that technology, we've validated it, it works at that large scale, and we're very excited about this. And now we're working on the lithium extraction scale up. So right now we're working with a group of customers on projects to validate that in larger scale and show the capability of the technology. How it works, we've designed and developed nanomaterials that work in a very selective way to lithium and only lithium. So as you may know, when you get to a brine source or water that has lithium, you have lithium, but you have other components in the water that typically, if you have a normal classical adsorbent to remove the lithium, you're going to end up with a lot of the other stuff and very little of the lithium because of the lower concentrations. What we've done is we've developed a very unique nanomaterial that is able to go in and extract lithium and only lithium. And that's why it's a single, simple step that's able to extract the lithium and already produces a high purity, high concentrated stream without the need to undergo many other processes to concentrate or separate the lithium.
May I ask you, I'm going to share the microphone for a second. Could you explain to the audience how the members of this group and others have helped you evolve the company to be able to achieve that?
That's an excellent question. So I'm going to go way back when I was a student. As a student getting my PhD, that was the very first fund I got from Alberta Innovates. And I got to learn about them and about how they support research. And it was early. I didn't even get in contact with anyone, but that was support I've received to, from the get-go, develop the technology. So think back here as when I was doing a PhD on lithium extraction and supported by Alberta Innovates. And then afterwards, once we were done, and the great thing about the province and the resources we have is they support you at every stage of it. They don't wait until you're a really big company and you're already validated, but they start early, or they start whatever the stages you are. If you need the support and you reach out, you're able to get it. And it is a make or break for a startup company, because we may not have had the resources to carry on, but being able to secure resources from ERA, from Alberta Innovates, and from MICA, which we've been supported by all three groups, is tremendous for us. It's what kept us going for so long, being able to grow, to scale, to work with a lot of challenges, knowing that we have the support financial, but it actually goes beyond financial. We have people that we can reach out to and ask about anything that could be a challenge, that could be a problem. And they have the groups, the resources, the expertise to support in whatever that may be. And knowing that that's out there and it exists and it helps us move forward is tremendous. The second time I got with Alberta Innovates was I won a pitch competition at Inventures. Inventures was an amazing experience for me. I always remember of it, and I remember going up that stage and how it opened up so many opportunities. It was the start of a new thing for Litus, where we actually got to the stage of showing and promoting our technology. And after winning that Inventures, I then went off to win at Elevate, a pitch competition, $100,000 won. And it all started in Alberta with that support that allowed us to go and grow. And here we are today at COP again with the support of these groups. So I'd like to thank them very much, all of you. I know that from Yari, I got the most satisfying phone call in my life. I will say that. I was telling Annette about it, and I was happy for, I don't know, weeks. I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, our project made the best lithium extraction due diligence. And I heard that, and I couldn't hear the rest of the call. I was done. I almost felt like, can you say that again? It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of effort, and to be recognized like that, but by these organizations who've really looked at the technology, who've given us an opportunity to showcase what we have and what we can do, is a tremendous opportunity. And I'd like to thank you all for all the support.
Thank you. My point was not to be self-congratulating to us, but to really convey to others that there's help for you along the way. But none of this would be possible without you, the inventor, and the entrepreneur to start with. And so this is the kind of people we want to get behind. And this is the kind of technology that we want in that portfolio. So thank you for what you've done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other questions? That wasn't a question. That was an ear scratch. It's like an auction. Oh, there it goes. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and really appreciate it. And I'm going to quote somebody that I met yesterday, and quoting a lawyer is probably rather unique for me. But I loved what she said. And she said, don't let perfection be the enemy of good, but good has to be excellent. So let's get going. Just get